We had intention to leave San Diego before sunset, right after topping up our fuel, propane, and water tanks at Shelter Island. The fog rolled in thick and fast, having us wishing we had a nearby place to drop anchor until it cleared. Then the man at the fuel pump offered that we stay on the dock for the night. He grew up sailing with his parents and little sister around the Caribbean and expressed how much our family reminded us of his own. Louis woke up at 3:30 a.m. and we left the dock at 4. It was dark and cool out, but thankfully fogless. Up on deck, he helped me identify the different lights on buoys and boats in the far and near distance. When the moon isn't visible, the ocean and sky seem to melt into one darkness. Often, other boats aren't registered on the automatic identification system, and so we only have the radar to identify objects, and our eyes to figure out what type of buoy or boat it is, which direction it's heading, and how fast it's moving. It's essential to keep track of other boats and their courses in order to avoid a collision with them. Shortly after we took our first sip of coffee, Olena rose out of the companionway fully clothed, life jacket on, with a smile on her face. She asked question after question, like, why were we sailing in the dark? And what was the bright white light approaching at our port side? And so Louis included Olena in the lesson and asked her, what part of the body do we see with? Our heart, she responded. Louis and I talked about what needed to be stowed below before heading into bigger waves. Then, without asking her, Olena went back down below, turned on the little red light in the main cabin, and began putting away any loose items. Then she came back up with snacks. We motor sailed just off the coast on a relatively calm ocean before crossing that invisible water border.
We're in Mexico.
He's like, why is everybody running away from me?
And 12 hours later, we had arrived on the dock in Ensenada, Mexico. It would eventually take us 3 days of back and forths to the bank and Mexican customs to fill out ours and Savory's entry paperwork. With some advice from our friends and fellow cruisers Derek and Deneb, we settled on Baja Naval Marina, which not only had the least expensive nightly rate, it was close to town, had nice hot showers, and our agent was extremely helpful. We had arrived just in time for Halloween celebrations and the last 2 days of El Dia de Muertos. The Day of the Dead is a yearly celebration to honor loved ones who have passed away. Its rituals date back to pre-Hispanic times, where death was not an endpoint, but a journey of the soul into the underworld. November 1st is devoted to commemorating deceased children called angelitos, and November 2nd to adults. Families gather at cemeteries to clean and decorate graves, as well as create altars at home and in the streets. Also common are calaveras, small skulls, and copal incense to help guide the souls back home. And marigolds, with their bright orange petals full of color and life, serve as a pathway back to the mortal world. The day before our departure from Ensenada, Leo met a little boy named Dorian. But since they didn't speak the same language, Dorian named Louis their official translator. As soon as Leo told him we were visiting on our sailboat, Dorian lit up, and so Leo invited him aboard. Dorian was so considerate, inquisitive, animated, and funny. He was really such a sweet, sweet soul. After they left, Leo told us that he wanted Dorian to be his brother, and Olena was pretty enamored by him too. Maybe they'll all meet again someday. From our limited 3 days at dock, Ensenada was a really nice place to visit. It is known as La Cenicienta del Pacifico, the Cinderella of the Pacific, because of its humble beginnings as a small fishing village, but has since transformed into the 5th largest container ship port in Mexico, the 2nd most visited cruise ship port, and the 3rd largest city in the state of Baja California. It is also known as a foodie city, with a blend of Mexican-style seafood dishes mixed with Mediterranean influence. And for small-scale boaters like us who stop in to clear customs and grab our last provisions, Ensenada is a gateway to what feels like the true start of our cruising adventure. Stay tuned as we set sail further south from Ensenada to Puerto Santo Tomas, Isla de Cedros, and Bahia Tortugas. Over 300 nautical miles and our first full night sail as a family on the open ocean.